All right. Happy 2017, everyone. Thank you for joining the first Automation Hour session for 2017. Hope everyone enjoyed the holidays, and we're off to a great start. So let me advance my slides. Okay, hold on. Great, I'm having technical issues. Hold on. All right. Okay. All right, so for those who have not joined us before for Automation Hour, we meet every other Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern. And here's a list of our next several months worth of webinars that we scheduled out for January through March. And then sometime towards March, we will be setting up the additional sessions throughout the year. So if you do have a cool process automation use case and solution that you would like to share with others out here, we recommend that you go out to our website and submit the idea, and then we will be in contact to schedule you into future sessions. So logistics-wise, all our lines will be muted. Please use the question function to post your questions throughout the session. We might pause at points in time to start answering some of those, or we'll answer those at the end of the session. Continue to post any other questions that you might have after the session in the success community. That is Salesforce Automation Hour. And we will share the deck as well as the recording after the session. We want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Concrete.io. Thanks for sponsoring this series. And with that, we're going to turn it over to our first guest presenter of the year. He's probably best known for his avatar with the process automation avatar, and this is Parker Edelmann. So I will hand this over to Parker.
Thank you, Jen. All right, well, I'm glad to be here on today. All right, so here's my picture. I'm Parker Edelmann. I'm an independent Salesforce consultant, twice certified, certified admin, platform app builder, future blogger at edelmannconsulting.com, trailhead ranger with 119 badges. I'm also a visual workflow and process builder fan. Well, let's get into the presentation today. Right now, before we get into today's use case, we're going to be dealing with opportunity contact roles. And so here's the schema for that. We have the account object, and the two child objects of the account are opportunity and contact. And opportunity contact roles serve as a junction object between opportunities and contact. So what that means is one opportunity can be related to multiple contacts, and one contact can be related to multiple opportunities. So, and this is what that'll look like on a page layout. Up top, you see it from the contact's perspective. You see John Smith works at Acme Widgets. We also have a custom field here called business role. That corresponds to the role field on opportunity contact roles. So we see here that John Smith is related to the Acme Widgets 100 Gadgets opportunity. And down below, we see that. And we see that John Smith is an opportunity contact role for that. So really, there's only 4 fields on opportunity contact roles: the opportunity ID, the contact name, the role field, and the primary field. Everything else that you see here, that's all cross-object formulas on the related list. that, let's get into the use case today. So we're going to have two requirements for this. So if you would look at number one, when a contact is created and the business role field is filled out, create an opportunity contact role for all open opportunities that belong to the contact's account. So in the number two, when an existing contact business role changes, update the value of all opportunity contact roles belonging to open opportunities in the contact's account, and create new opportunity contact roles for opportunities that don't have one for that contact. Closed opportunities should not be updated. Let's get into the demo. Obviously, we're going to start out with a process builder. Just have to wait for the computer to load. Obviously, we're going to start on the contact object, and we're going to do it when a record is created or edited. Now, we're going to solve for both requirements with one process builder. If we were only solving for number one, we'd probably set it for only when a record is created. But being said we're going to solve for two, which involve editing contacts, we're going to set it to when a record is created or edited. So, because we did that, we have to verify that the record is new. And there's this function in formulas called isNew, pretty self-explanatory. And if we were to use the conditions are met, we don't have that function. So we have to use a formula here that basically reads like this. If the contact is new and the business role is not blank, the exclamation point says not, and the contact or the account ID is not blank, then do the actions. So what we need to do is beyond the powers of Process Builder alone. So we're going to launch a flow. And within that flow, we have a variable called contacts. And we're just going to pass the contact record that started Process Builder off to it. Let's see that. Come on. Sorry, the flow designer isn't the fastest page. So here we are. So we're going to start out by finding the opportunities that we need to create the contact role for. So the criteria for that is to look at opportunities where the account ID equals the contact account ID, and where the opportunity is not closed. So that would be is closed equals false. And so the opportunities that we save, we're going to save that to an SObject collection variable called opportunities. All we need to save to that collection is the field ID. Because we don't need any of the other fields on opportunity. We just need the ID to create a relationship, which is the opportunity contact role. And so after that, use the decision element. This isn't necessarily necessary, or this isn't necessary. But if our lookup didn't return any record, what this does is that instead of proceeding with the flow, it will end the flow prematurely so as to save resources. So how we do that is we look at the opportunities variable, and we ask if it is null, and if it is not null, we'll continue with the rest of the flow, but if it is null, we'll end the process. So we'll proceed on to the loop. And so we're going to loop through the opportunities here, and the loop variable will be called current opti. So how exactly does a loop work? So usually this is what a typical flow involving a loop will look like. We usually have a lookup that gets a collection. So we usually pass that off to a loop. And what a loop does is it looks at each of the individual values, starting with the first one, and it passes it along through within the loop. And so we do something with that. In this case, we'll add 7 to that number 1. And we add that, the result of that, 8, to a collection. Return to the loop, does the same thing, gives us the number 2. Do something with it. In this case, add 7. We get 9. Return to the loop. Get 3 out of the loop. Do something. Get 10. Return back to the loop. And seeing so there are no more records left, we exit the loop and do some more processing. That's how a loop works. So after that, we'll go off to the assignment element. We'll do something with the value that we got. We have a variable called OptiContact role, and we're going to assign the value of that like this. So opportunity contact role, opportunity ID will equal the current opti ID. That's the loop variable. That'd be the number 1 here. And so then we pass contact ID would equal to the current contact ID, and then the role will equal the contact business role. So after that, we'll add that variable to a collection. So it can read like this: add OptiContact role to opportunity contact roles. So once that's done, we'll return back to the loop. If we found another opportunity from here, the loop will iterate over again. We'll go to the assignment, create an opportunity contact role for that opportunity. We'll get add to the collection, turn the loop. There's another one. We'll go through that until there are no more opportunities left. And then we have here fast create. So we'll be inserting the opportunity contact roles into the database. We'll bridge the gap between ideas and data. Because until this point, the opportunity contact roles that we've created are only visible to this flow. It can only be accessed by the flow. It's not actually in the database. So what this does is it basically makes it official and puts those records into the database. So that's a fairly simple flow, and that's all it took to finish this part of the use case. Let's do that in action. Here an account has 2 opportunities, an open opportunity and a closed opportunity. So when we create a new contact, we should see an opportunity contact role for the open opportunity. And we have to fill out a business role. So we'll make John Smith the decision maker. And we see here an opportunity contact role for the open opportunity, but not for the closed opportunity. So this flow does its job here. Now, of course, there were 2 requirements for today. Let's take a look at it again. We'll read it again. When existing contact business role changes, update the value of all opportunity contact roles belonging to open opportunities in the contact account, and create new opportunity contact roles for opportunities that don't have one for that account. Those opportunities should not be updated. So for the purpose of this flow, we're going to have like 4 types of opportunities. So we're going to have the closed opportunities without an opportunity contact role. We don't want to update these. We don't want to create an opportunity contact role for them. So these will simply be avoided. It won't be a part of the flow that we'll use. And so we also have closed opportunities that do have an opportunity contact role for the contact that fire process builder. So these opportunities will inevitably be part of the flow, but we can't update the opportunity contact role for it as per the requirement. So what we're going to have to do is figure out a way to filter those out somehow. And then on the right, we have the good opportunities, the ones that we do want to update. The open opportunities with an opportunity contact role, we need to update the business role on that. And then we have the open opportunities that don't have an opportunity contact role. So we'll simply create a new opportunity contact role for these. So how are we going to pull this off? So what we're going to do is we're going to start by, again, looking at the open opportunities that belong to the contact account. It's pretty much the same lookup element. We'll be saving the open opportunities to the variable open opties. Again, we only need the ID from this. So, oh wait, I need to go back to process builder. I forgot to mention something here. So, back at process builder, we need to make sure that when the record is edited, the business role must be changed, and again that the account ID, or that the contact has an account ID. Because if it didn't have an account ID, then there would be no opportunities in the account, and therefore no opportunity contact roles to update, and we'll get error messages. So then we'll pass some things off to process build, or to the flow here. Again, we'll pass the contact to the contact variable, and we'll also pass the opportunity contact roles for the contact onto a variable called existing opti contact roles. So instead of looking up those opportunity contact roles like we within a visual workflow, we're just going to pass those off from process builder. And those existing opportunity contact roles is what we're going to loop through here. We're going to call the loop variable opti contact role. So here's the part where we need to determine whether the opportunity that it belongs to is open or closed, because the existing OCRs that we found from Process Builder will either be will belong to a closed opportunity or an open opportunity. We only want to update the open opportunities. So we can answer this by using a formula within Visual Workflow. If we use that decision element, we can decide whether the opportunity is open or not. So this here is a cross-object formula. It takes the opportunity contact role dot opportunity dot is closed. So it's doing looking at the opportunity contact role, then looking at its opportunity, and giving us the value of the is closed field. If it is closed, then we don't update the opportunity contact role. If it is open, we do. Using this decision element here, we can see that if op is closed equals false, in other words, it is open, the opportunity will get updated. We'll proceed to this assignment element, And this will update the business role. Opportunity contact role equals contact.business role. The opportunity ID and the contact ID are already in place, so we don't need to create those there. And we'll simply add that to a collection like we did earlier. OptiContact roles to update, add OptiContact role. That can be read like add the OptiContact role to OptiContact roles to update. And so before returning back to the loop, we're going to collect the OptiIDs. That would be the ID of the opportunity of the current opportunity contact role. So the reason why we're doing this is that is the IDs of all the yellow opportunities. We've already filtered out the orange ones, and so here we have the yellow ones that simply made that. We'll need that for the second part of the flow, because if you noticed, we're only looking at the open opportunities with this element here, and that's getting the yellow and the green opportunities. Well, we just took care of the yellow opportunities because we're going to come back to the loop, and then we'll update those opportunity contact roles. So that's all finished there. So we'll loop through the open opportunities so that way we can take care of the green opportunities, the ones that don't have an opportunity contact role. But we have some yellow opportunities here. So instead of using a cross-object formula like we did in the first one, we're just going to use a simple decision element. And we collected the OptiIDs, that was the yellow one. If it contains the current opportunity's ID, then we know that the current opportunity is one of the yellow opportunities. And so we don't want to create an opportunity contact role for one of those. But if it does not contain the opportunity ID, we know it's a green one that does not have an opportunity contact role, and one that we need to create one for. So if it's open, has an opportunity contact role, create one for it here. The OCR.contactID will equal the current contact ID, the opportunity ID will equal the current OptiID, and the role will equal the business role. In terms of the loop, if there are more open opportunities, we'll repeat the process. If it belongs, if it has an opportunity contact role already, it will be rejected and sent back to the loop. The loop, if it does not have an opportunity contact role, it'll go through the assignment. So after that, once again, cross over from the realm of idea to data, and we'll insert the new opportunity contact roles using the stats create. This will make it official and put the data actually into Salesforce. So let's see what this looks like. Extra contact, an account with 4 opportunities. I've labeled them appropriately. Close opportunity that does not have an OCR, and then so on and so forth. So by giving this contact here an update, we should expect to see 3 opportunity contact roles in here, and 2 of which should be updated to the new value that we specify. Let's see what happens. Decision maker. Okay, so we now have 3 opportunities here. See if the one that was closed was updated. See if the open opportunity was updated as well. So this did not get updated like we wanted it to, because it's closed, so it wasn't updated. And then this one was updated. So we've completed the goal here, and we've met the requirements. So go over some tips and tricks. So the first tip, tell me to do this in Process Builder, but always check for null values, especially IDs, when referencing parent objects in Process Builder. Otherwise, you might get an error. Probably will get an error. Use a trick. If you need to look up all of a record's child objects, one object only, in a flow, you can use Process Builder to pass into an S-object collection variable instead of using a fast lookup within flow. You may just clean up the view in visual workflow a little bit. And so here's a trick. You can use the decision element to see if a lookup returned any record. And then also, here's a tip. This one's pretty important here. Flow can only execute 2,000 elements in one interview. So try not to use more loops than necessary. And use as few elements as possible within your loop. Oh wait. In our flow here, we only had 12 elements. So why is that 2,000 element limit such a big deal? Well, when we have loops, things get executed twice. Because we have two existing opportunity contact roles, this loop will run twice. So instead of executing 12 elements, we might execute 17 elements. And the more opportunity contact roles we have, the more elements that get executed. The more open opportunities that we have, even more elements get executed. So if we have a lot of them, the numbers can really start adding up very quickly, especially if we don't design our flows very efficiently. So another tip, don't use lookup, create, update, or delete elements within loops. So the reason why is a little bit more technical, but you can only use 100 SOPL queries in the world of flow, that's lookups and record updates, and 150 DML statements, create, update, or delete, within a single transaction. Now by transaction, I mean from the time that you save a record and by the time that everything is said and done. So if you put, like, let's say a create element within a loop, and you loop through that 140 times, and guess what? You just used up 140 DML statements. And you have 10 left for all your other processes, workflows, Apex. If you have a lot of automation, you're going to crash the system and get an error. So this process is called multiplication. Put your create, updates, delete, queries, lookups outside of loops. So the last one that I want to mention is that you can use the decision element to see if a value is contained in a collection instead of loops within loops. So here, that's what we did. We used the collection to see if the current opportunity ID was in the opportunity IDs that we collected earlier. So that's a very fast and efficient way to handle this. So this flow is a larger flow that I have here. It does exactly the same thing. This was my first attempt at building this flow out. So the only major differences between this is this part of the flow. You can see that it has a loop within a loop, and a couple more elements within the OpenOpties loop. So again, we start by looping through the open opportunities. The first thing that we do is loop through the existing opportunities that have a contact role. And so that's, again, the opportunity IDs that we came here. And so down at this decision element, we compare them. Because they're equal, we know that the opportunity that we're looping through in the open opties is one of those yellow opportunities, and we don't want to create another opportunity contact role for it. So if they match, we'll go to this assignment. We'll basically act as a flagging method. So we'll update the variable as OCR equals true, and we'll return to the loop. And then for every opportunity ID, we'll keep on looping through until there are no more. And then at the end of the loop, we ask, we use this decision element, was matched. So if as OCR equals true, then we know that it will match the opportunity that we're looking at. And this loop here is a yellow, one of those yellow opportunities that we don't want to update. So we'll return back to the loop eventually. But if we do need to create an opportunity contact role for it, we'll go to this assignment element, create a new opportunity contact role. That's all the same there. Add to selection. And we'll reset the flag back to false. We didn't do that. Every opportunity would equal true. And the was match would go back to the loop instead of creating a new opportunity contact role. So why is it such a bad idea to do it? Well, so let's say that we have 5 open opportunities. And we have 3 existing opportunities. We'll loop through this, 3 times? We'll loop through this 3 times. It may use up 9 elements per time. But we'll be looping through that 5 times, so that's 45 elements. Well, what if you have 30 existing opportunity contact roles and 50 open opportunities? That keeps on adding up and up and up and up until finally going to break the 2,000 limit. So the point is, it will get closer to hitting limits much faster if you use a loop within a loop on this kind of a scale here. So remember, we only have 2,000 elements, and loops within loops will make the flow very, very inefficient. So, almost done here. If you miss something, you can play with the flows yourself. I've packaged all the process automation here, and you can download it at this link. Go into your developer edition. You can break it down. You can play with it. You can build on it. You can make it more efficient if you want to. All sorts of good stuff that you can do with that. And if you want to watch the session again, you can go to our YouTube channel here and watch that there. This webinar is being recorded right now. And also, you have some further reading and some resources. You can get some hand-on experience with the Cloud Flow Designer workbook. When I did this, it helped me a lot. I understood the visual workflow quite a bit better. You can also just do a deep dive on visual workflow with the visual workflow guide. This will teach you all the ins and outs and everything that you could ever want to know from visual workflow. And then we also have a process automation cheat sheet. This will tell you which process automation tool that you should use. And then also, I mentioned the 2,000 element limit for visual workflow. Well, there's more for process automation in general here. So do familiarize yourself with that. The Trailhead project, create a satisfaction survey. That uses visual workflow, and that'll teach you some good things as well. And then don't forget to join visual workflow discussions. If you ever have a question, you can go to there. And also, don't forget to join the Salesforce Automation Hour group there. You'll be notified of future webinars that we'll be doing, and you can also ask questions here. Be happy to help you there. And so, speaking of questions, do we have any questions, Jen?
We have one out there. Question is from Mo. Can you show how to remove, mass remove opportunity roles? For instance, someone leaves the company, you want to remove or update all the opportunity roles.
You could just delete the contact, and I believe that would delete all the opportunity contact roles that belong to him.
Okay. I want to give folks a few minutes to post any questions that you have for Parker, or any general process automation questions you have unrelated to the presentation. We'll take those now as well. Okay, one from Jane. I have a question regarding sending an email alert on a new case. Situation is our account has a primary sales rep per account. I guess, Jane, okay, here goes more. I have to find a rep ID email on the case object using formulas.
Okay.
And I have Jane still typing.
Yeah, maybe we'll jump to Mo's
Okay,
question.
we'll jump to another one. Mo had, I guess, a follow-up question, but what if, in Mo's original one was about mass removing opportunity roles, but what if you want to keep the history of the contact? You don't want to delete it.
Well, really not a good way to do that without deleting the contact. You want to mass remove the opportunity contact roles from open opportunities. You could possibly use data loader to do that. You could export opportunity contact roles, I think, and then tell Salesforce that you want to delete those using data loader.
Yeah, that'd be one way. I think another way would be if you had a checkbox, I'm assuming, that says like inactive on the contact. When you check that box, you could trigger a process builder to fire a flow, and then the flow could query and find all of the associated, as you said, open opportunities that contact's associated to, and delete those out through the delete element in flow. But you'd have to have something that would trigger it.
Right.
Thanks. I like that suggestion. Okay, so maybe it'd be helpful if I just unmuted Jane and Jane can describe what her question is, because there's a series of. Right. I just unmuted you, Jane, if you wanted to just describe. I think it's easier.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
So I have a new situation. We have accounts, and on the accounts we have a primary rep defined. Now I have another use case where, with opening a new case of a particular type, they want this primary rep to be notified via an email alert. So I have my email alert already notifying the account owners, but I want to attach it also to this primary rep. Now I'm able to get the primary rep's name and email address onto the case object by using formula fields with I pull the account relation and then the rep name, if you will, as well as the rep email. But because that formula isn't returning an email type field, I'm unable to utilize that in my workflow email alert. So I'm wondering if I have to create a trigger to handle this process.
Yeah, if you just put a standard email field and then have that get populated through process builder or workflow, then that would let you reference that in an email alert.
So, okay, so I have the email defined on my case object, but it is of type text because it's a formula field. And the formulas don't give me the option of specifying a return type field as email. And the email alert wants that email type, if you will.
Yeah, you'd have to create a separate field for it. So you'd have to actually create like an email custom field that would be blank by default, and then you'd use a process builder or workflow to push in that value that you have that your current formula field has.
Okay. So basically populate it via process builder or
Correct.
Or workflow, yeah. And then you'd be able to use it as if it was a real email field.
okay. Okay. I'll try that avenue. Because I was thinking I'm going to be stuck, not stuck, but I was thinking the only option I would have would be trigger at this point.
Yeah, and make sure to post to the success community if it's not working out for you, and we can look to help out further.
Okay. Thank you.
We've got some people saying using the hyperlink function might, within a text formula field, might be an option for you as well. So looks like a lot of different options out there. All right, we've got a question from Bruce Stewart asking about paused flows. So how or where do you detangle when these may eventually fire?
Question. I don't usually work with flow screens the whole time. Any ideas on that?
I'm thinking if you go into can you go back into Salesforce and maybe show where this is? If you go to your flows, just the flow detail kind of page. And I'll repeat the question. Just looking to see how or where to detangle paused flows. So when you're on the flows within the setup, you're going to see below the list of all the available flows, this paused and waiting interview section. And then you can create new list views in here to kind of sort through it. It's not going to have all the detail in the world that you might want, but that's at least where you would be able to see what's currently paused, what's waiting. And this is going to be for Flow and Process Builder. So both of those will show up there.
I don't usually work with it too much, but I've heard that the pause and waiting interviews really isn't that great. There's not a lot of information there to work with, unfortunately.
All right, we've got one more question, it looks like. But if we could get a little bit clarification around it. Oh, it looks like we're going to take that offline. And then we've got a question about what the format looks like for the paused interview, asking if it shows as a number. Let me jump into my org to see, because I don't know that off the top of my head, unless Rakesh or Jen or somebody knows. So yes, the name will be an essentially an auto number, and then the flow name will be what your API name of the flow is. It won't have the double underscore C, and it will give you the version and some other information there. So the list can be sorted, and then you can add additional filters based off of any of those columns that you see there. And you can adjust the columns as well to see additional fields such as the interview ID or the current flow type or current flow version label. So there's some other additional options there for you. Any other questions?
I think it sounds like we're all done, right? All right, great. So our next webinar is on the 27th. We're going to take a break since that coincides with Tahoe Dreaming. So we're going to come back the week after Tahoe Dreaming on the 27th, and this will be a session with Matt O'Hara. So we'll post the link to that out on the success community. The link will also be in the deck that we will post out after the session. So thanks so much for joining, and we'll talk to you at our next session. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity again, Jen.
Thanks, Parker.